Today we're going to be talking about autism traits in girls. I've got video examples from the 1970s and 80s that I want to share with you. I'm really excited about this. My dad recorded a lot of home videos on 8mm film and Super 8s, and I bought a device to transfer the videos, and it's been like Christmas just seeing all these video clips of me as a child and going through and analyzing the data. So that's what I'm going to be doing, telling you about autism in girls and giving you video examples from my childhood. So join me. So first of all, autism traits in girls. There's no single trait that can define an autism diagnosis. It's important to know that, but there are some characteristics of autism that can help providers make a diagnosis. And then also it's important to know that autistic girls may not show some of the classic traits that are more often seen in boys, mainly because girls learn how to mask those traits or overcompensate, and that's their way of coming across as more normal to others. Another thing about an autistic girl might be sensitive to sensory challenges, maybe loud noises or bright lights, maybe strong smells, maybe textures of food. Things like that might have been an issue. I know when I was a kid, I liked to eat certain things, and I really loved baby food. Even up until a young adult, I would just buy the jars of baby food, like the apples, the pears, because I just loved the texture. I did that for a really long time. An autistic girl also might have low frustration levels, meaning that they have a hard time managing their feelings when they're frustrated. Maybe inappropriate outbursts for the age. I have an example of one. Sometimes, as an autistic girl, you might have had meltdowns or shutdowns more than what your peers did that were neurotypical. And some may further have disruptive behavior at school. For me, it wasn't like that. At school, I was a different person than I was at home. Very quiet at school. And then I would come home and be wore out, have to take a lot of naps, especially as a teenager, because I had masked so much during the day at school. I just had to come home and take a nap because I wore myself out. Maybe you experience a lot of depression, anxiety, other mental health issues. For me, it was depression and anxiety. It got worse the older I got, realizing how different I was from other people and how hard relationships were, and I didn't understand why I was so different. And there really wasn't anybody I could talk to about it because I wasn't good at expressing my emotions or telling other people how I felt. So even if I did go see a counselor, I wasn't good at talking about what I was feeling. So another one is rigid behaviors, like maybe rocking or flapping or sucking a thumb. I did that until I was 6 years old. And not only that, but I had a pillow and I would manipulate the fabric also. You named it. I was constantly moving my body in some motion. And as you know, that can be a way that help ourselves when we're having anxiety or we're going through dysregulation. So another thing for me was my play preferences. Now, when I was very young, I preferred to play by myself. My imaginary play was different. Dolls and things, I didn't have a storyline. In fact, I didn't even know that's a normal thing, really, until my granddaughter was over at my house one day playing with her Barbies and had stories for the Barbies were interacting, and I didn't do that. I fixated on objects, blocks, building things, Legos, things like that a lot of boys, when they're young, typically fixate on. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and back then there just wasn't a lot of talk about girls with autism. It's not really anything that my teachers would have brought up. They just saw me as the shy, quiet kid in the classroom. I was the kid that didn't speak much and followed all the rules and made sure I didn't get in trouble, because it would have been terrifying for me to be pointed out in front of everybody. So I made sure I steered away from getting in trouble and always did what I was told by my teachers. Autistic girls may rely on other children to guide her, or, so she feels more comfortable in a situation. That was very much how I was. When I was very little, I was by myself most of the time. But as I got a little older and I saw that kids made friends, I relied on other girlfriends to help me in social situations more and more. Passionate but limited interests. I'm sure you can go back and think of things that you are very passionate about and collected. The same thing for me. Passionate interests like playing instruments, violin, piano, riding my horse, reading books, collecting things, photography. You have passionate interests, but beyond what other people do. So I'm going to give some further video clips after this with a little bit of commentary, things that I thought when I saw the video clips. Hope you enjoy these. Clumsiness can be a characteristic in children with autism, and I noticed how odd my movements were in the swing. Social events are not easy for autistic people, and I think my face expression says it all in this video about how I was feeling about this social situation and gathering. I think it's hilarious when I see my face expressions here. As I got older, I managed birthday parties by being in control of all the aspects of it. We were going to be doing something at my birthday party, and it kind of was my way of keeping the small talk away and being in control of the situation. That's how I coped having birthday parties. As I got older, I figured it out. Really interested in the camera, and even at Christmas time, focusing on the details, the items, the objects I was interested in, rather than interacting with my mom as she was trying her best to get me to enjoy this new bicycle, to the point where I started getting agitated. I was just more interested in that camera. And then my dad was wanting to interact in this clip and trying to get me to interact the best he could. But I was just so distracted by this camera. Who knew that would be the future of what I enjoy doing? And mimicking others is another common thing for autistic people to do. And this clip comes from a video I did, and I'll link it in the description. But Lori here is making my horse's mouth move, singing happy birthday to my brother. And I was just hand over hand following what she was doing, because that is not something I would normally do. I was influenced greatly to do what my friends did many times in my life through teenage years. And this is what's happening here, I feel like. We are having company at our house, and I am trying some food there, as I just really did not like how that food tasted. Sensitivities to food, and this odd reaction with my mom. I think I was blowing on her cheek. Maybe I was overstimulated with all the company. Now, I really enjoyed fiddling with things, trying to figure out how things work in general. I was definitely good at getting focused on things I was interested in, and I could spend a long time just doing that activity I was just absorbed in the moment, and focusing and pushing everything else out of my mind. And then here again, trying to figure out how things work. I think that's why autistic people make good engineers, figuring out how things work. And I was playing with the zipper, either for sensory stim or for figuring it out. My dad told my brother to look at the camera, and I was making sure my brother did that because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And finally my dad got on to me and I had to stop doing that. I think as autistic people, we can be people pleasers, and anytime I was told to look at the camera and smile, I definitely did that, as I did here in this little video clip. I could be very protective over my toys, and I see that my brother's eyeing my toys, and I throw him on the couch, and I am looking to make sure he's not coming to touch my stuff. I've noticed my autistic grandson being exactly the same way with his brothers. I did this behavior too. Holidays could always be a bit much for me, and I'd find myself tired, just worn out after all the sensory stimulation of the holidays. But another thing is sometimes I thought I was smiling when they would say smile, and looking back at videos, I was not smiling like I thought I was. This is the only video clip I have of me sucking my thumb, and I did until I was 6 years old. I think this scenario, it was just a bit too much for me that day. I was already wore out with probably all the masking I had done with company. My family was there, and I was just zapped and did not want to do that. I was the oldest grandchild, and then that was my behavior. So having getaway spots was some of my favorite things to do, and just getting blankets and making the couch into a fort was always a lot of fun. As autistic people, even when we're young, we observe others and we observe reactions as we are learning how to react ourselves in certain social situations, and that's what I did in this video. And stimming with my hair and messing with my shorts, stimming to help the anxiety, something I've always done, the stimming behavior. Also stim when I'm happy as well. I collected lots of things, had big collections, organized them very neatly, as you can see. Loved horses with a passion. That's one of my big interests, and that's typical for girls. Loved playing with blocks and building things, Legos, Lincoln blocks, cameras. Have enjoyed photography since a kid. Collecting things, science projects, riding my horse with the cat, My Little Pony collections. All of these collections, I had one of every of. It seemed like all of the Cabbage Patch Kids. Reading the Sweet Valley Twin books, and still collecting them. I would love for you to comment down below on what those traits were like for you when you were a little girl growing up. Did your parents know you were autistic? And share anything you want to share, or comment about anything in the video. And if you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy these videos as well that are on the topic. So go and check those out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.